Hi, it's Sue from Savory Living, and in today's video we're going to tackle two of my favorite healthy sauces. They're both herb-based, and the first is a pesto, and the second is the bagna cotta. So let's get started. When you're making a pesto, what you need is a food processor and oil. Olive oil, really, which is the monounsaturated fat that we're going to add to create the base of our sauce. So what you do is you assemble in your food processor. I'm going to use my small bowl because I don't need a lot of this. It goes a long way, the flavoring in it. You start with your greens. What I like to combine is 1 part herb to 1 part healthy, nutrient-rich green. So in this case, I'm going to use spinach and I'm going to use basil. But you have a choice. Do you want to use parsley? Do you want to use cilantro? Do you want to use watercress or baby arugula? You get to decide. Just really keep your proportion right, where you've got about 1 cup of the herb to 1 cup of the nutrient-rich green. The next thing I'm going to add are some nuts. In this case, I'm using walnuts because I want to bump up my omega-3s. But you have a choice. A traditional pesto includes pine nuts. You could also use pistachios. Or do you want to roast them in a pan, or do you want to put them in raw? Each of those choices impacts the flavor of your pesto. The next ingredient every pesto has is garlic. So I'm just going to squash it with the side of my knife and put 1 clove in. And then I'm ready to get blending. So I start my food processor, I blend it, and then I'm going to emulsify and add my olive oil in. I don't need to measure because I'm going to take a look at the consistency and I'll know when it's the thickness I'd like if I'm done or if I want to add more oil. Once that part's done, I'm going to flavor balance. Put in a little cheese if I'm having dairy. This is a Parmesan, some salt, some pepper, and then I'm done. So it's going to get loud. Let me turn Selma on. So I let this blend for a bit to get things moving. And then I'm going to put in my olive oil. And I let it continue to emulsify and to merge together with all of the flavorings and get to a consistency that I like. I stop it and I take a taste. Oh, it's good. But it needs to be flavor balanced. So that's where I'm going to add in some salt, some fresh black pepper, and then if I'm eating dairy, I can put my cheese in. The great thing about pesto is it lasts for a while in your refrigerator and it lasts for a very long while in your freezer. If I'm going to freeze this pesto and not use all of it now, I don't want to add the cheese in. I'll wait until I thaw it and reuse it, and then I'll add my cheese in. When I keep it in the refrigerator, what I like to do is put it in a bowl with a thin film of olive oil over the top of it. Wrap some saran wrap over it, and it'll last for a week or 2 in my fridge. When I freeze it, I put it into small containers. Sometimes I use ice cube trays to get little single-serve portions out of my pesto because I love tossing it into, swirling it into soups, combining it in a pan to make a pan sauce, throwing it into my bean dishes. It really lends a nice depth and texture to things. So I added in my flavors. I'm not going to freeze this. I'm going to use it fresh. So I'm going to throw a little bit of the cheese in. Give it 1 more blend. Try it. Oh, that's good. And there's your pesto. So let's move on to the second sauce. Oops. This is the bagna cotta, which is a real easy sauce to make. What you need for this sauce, and what you start with, is garlic, some salt, some anchovies, fresh lemon juice, and you are mixing it together with the olive oil. This is a delicious dipping sauce that when you warm it up, you can serve it with cooked vegetables, cooked fish, chicken, seafood. It's delicious. If you want to turn it into the classic Caesar sauce, what you do is keep it cold and add a little bit of sugar, and that becomes a healthier version of a Caesar sauce. So what you start with is your garlic. And what we're going to do is work it into a paste on the cutting board. So I'm flattening it with the side of my knife. And I'm going to start by keeping my fingers safe and dicing it. And the trick here as I create a paste is I'm going to add a pinch of salt to my garlic and work the two of those together with my knife. And I use the side of my knife to mash it. So you can also use your food processor for this sauce, but traditionally it's done by hand or it's done in a mortar and pestle. The thinking is that it allows you to still have some of the texture intact from all the ingredients versus them blending and getting kind of combined to the point where you can't experience the separation between them. So I've got my paste working, and now I'm going to add in my anchovies. So the anchovies lend a flavor to this. There's the salt note with them. I would encourage you to try it. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't like anchovies, but they're mild in this, I promise, and especially when you heat it up, they melt into things, and it really is delicious. So I chop to get them into a finer dice, and then I mix them in with my knife, working the garlic and the anchovies together. And I'm working on my paste. And you can see that that's kind of a nice consistency of paste. It's got some little chunks of things which will lend a nice texture and depth to my sauce. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a container. And this is where I'm going to add my oil that I'm going to put in, as well as my citrus note. So freshly squeezed lemon juice. I use my whisk or spoon and I mix it all together. And it's really that simple. This is the sauce. I try it. Oh, it's good. And if I heat it up, I can serve it with my already cooked vegetables. And I can also turn it into a Caesar sauce, as I said, by adding just a little bit of sugar. And then I can serve it over cold greens and mix it in with my salads. Yum. So enjoy your pesto, enjoy your Magna Carta, make it happen, try these sauces out. And until the next video, live well, eat well, be well.